to this episode of Anatomy Tuesdays. This is Kristen Tomorrow of Relaxation Works in Taunton, Mass. And on today's line, I have Dr. Margie Downs of Broadway Family Chiropractic in Raynham, Mass. And she is a chiropractor. And one of the things that drew me to Dr. Margie was her very holistic approach to healing. Same along the lines as myself, and so I was very interested in some of the things that she had to say. So today we are talking about pain relief in the neck and low back area and just alternatives to chronic pain relief. So welcome to today's call, Dr. Margie.
Why, thank you, Kristen. My pleasure.
Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. Yes. I think what you're talking about is a very important thing because you think about it and boy, it's how we mobilize our body by moving our lower backs. We use our neck and our head for so many different things, whether it's driving. I tell you, we have so many patients that if you injure just one area of your body, boy, it's all you can think about. And neck and low back are certainly ranking very high on the level of being problematic for most people.
Yeah, I find that too.
At some point in their life.
Yeah, for sure. And it just seems to be that is the places, the neck and the low back, the neck and the low back. And there's got to be some sort of correlation there, I think, too, which would be the spine, which is in the middle.
There you go. It's absolutely connected.
Yeah,
more ways than the average person would know. So I definitely want to explore that with you.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have a lot of experience with chiropractic care. And I don't really know a lot about it. So maybe if you could just give me an overall, what do you do in your office that really helps people that have neck or low back pain?
Okay. Well, first of all, I always start with the education because I feel it's really important for people to understand how it happened. And so there's a lot of things that happen in our day-to-day walk, the history of our traumas, the history of the stresses that we have accumulated in life that can really set people up to be having these issues that come up. So a lot of times what we always start with is education, and we explore how the person and how they contributed, because yes, patients contribute, and different things that happen, whether it be posture related or actual injuries in our past, such as car accidents, slips and falls, etc. So education is always a big spot, or a big part of our journey, if you will.
Yeah.
And then I think, for sure, you need to be able to start there. And then what we often do in corrective chiropractic care is my forte, and that's where we want to restore the spine back to its healthy position. We kind of give patients a little anatomy lesson so that they understand how the body works. So it's not something that they just come in and they the doctor laid me down on the table. The patients will actually understand what the mechanics of what we're doing for the patient are. So they become educated patients in that way, too.
That's awesome. I love that.
It's very important to connect it.
Yeah, and I feel the same way with my clients. I just have this, I really want to just let them know what's going on with their own body so they have self-awareness. So that when things happen, they're not coming in like frantic, because what I find is not only chronic pain brings, depression, anxiety, and stress, but when something happens, then acute pain happens, and it's not going to last a long time, you still kind of freak out a little bit.
Sure you do.
Yeah.
Sure you do. And I think a great way that we describe it to our patients is you need to learn how to be a really good detective in your life, to see what it is, what the trends are, what the, quote-unquote coincidences might be, and not so much coincidence sometimes, is, how that person is participating, whether they've just got, bad posture all the time, or if they're, they're not stretching properly, or they're just inactive, or other things that can happen if they've got really poor sitting posture, or their diet is really off. We have to kind of tie that all in together. So we do that when we do our consultation and our history.
Yeah,
and then and then what we do is we move on to an exam, where I often will analyze a person's posture. We always say that posture is the window to the spine. And we look for these areas of where the biomechanics of the spine aren't working properly that we call subluxation. And if it warrants and we find that it's necessary, we x-ray the patient so that we can get that last complete study as to really what's going on in the inside of the body.
Oh, I love
And yeah, and it's a great learning experience for patients. One of the comments that we get in the office from many patients is that you were very thorough. You touched base on everything, and now I understand why it's happening. And they say, okay, what do we do about it?
And do you find that your patients stay with you longer? Like, not just for that one specific, problem, but they really stay with you for years to come?
Yes. Many of my patients are wellness patients. They've made the transition. They've become educated enough to where they say, you know what, I'm not moving from crisis to crisis.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a great idea. We don't want to do that. We want to have really good self-care and really good health care with people like you and I that can help to guide them. And guess what? Research shows that offsets crisis care. And people are healthier for it with a less need for medication and longer, healthier lives.
Yeah, looking down the road to a longer life with less pain.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has become a biggie lately, is teaching patients how to secure their independence later on in life, as much as we can, barring, horrible things that happen to very few people. But for the majority of us, it's learning how to secure that independence. So having a lot more enjoyment out of life, we got to juice this thing we call our life, right? Mm-hmm. And get the most out of it. But then also moving forward, how do we secure our independence later on in life and not be stuck in a wheelchair, or unfortunately, not having all our faculties with us. Mm-hmm. All this is connected and unfortunately is downplayed, I think, in a lot of the common forms of whether it be TV or magazines. But posture and the biomechanics of the body are huge to make us last a long time in health.
What happens is this effect where the next thing happens and the next thing. So it might have started in their ankle, but now their knee is hurting and now their hip is hurting. And now they have, and it just kind of makes its way up. And I think that when we really do wellness care, we're able to help them to have better lives. And that's really, really one of the big main, I know for me, my why for working with clients is to really give them a better life. It's not really for me, it's for them.
Absolutely, And we find, once again, it always goes back to education. And that's why, in my office we have a format where we can do a lot of education so that they benefit from awareness, like you had said, becoming more aware of how your body works. But also what happens to them specifically is important, but learning through the interaction of other patients. And how, maybe somebody else is dealing with a digestive problem. Well, how is that all connected to what we're doing? Everything's connected. But because they're exposed to being taught properly about how the body works, they're prepared for so many different things down the road and can enhance their whole family as well for people that are going through different specific topics or areas of complaint, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. I see that all the time, too, when clients are coming in and they're, getting relief for one thing, and then they're saying, hey, so my son and daughter is dealing with this, or my husband is dealing with this, and, you're able to really help as a collective whole, which helps, the health of the family, not just the individual person.
That's right. That's right.
I love that.
And I think the benefit of chiropractic and massage just goes so far-reaching, but the problem that I have with it is I think it's so underutilized. It's so underutilized because of perhaps a lack of understanding of what actually happens in the office. Perhaps they don't know, there's many people to choose from. How do you choose a good massage therapist or a good chiropractor to be on your healthcare team? It can be pretty scary for patients. They don't want to spend the money on something that they're not going to get the value for.
Yep.
So I think from the patient's perspective, it's also very important to create an atmosphere where they feel safe, they feel like their questions are going to be answered, and somebody that has a projected plan while they're in the office with the doctor or the massage therapist. What happens next?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, that's really key. That's really key for any, I think any client or patient, any person that's looking to really get healthy. It's not just like a one-time fix.
No.
And especially when you're looking to help your lifestyle or change your lifestyle. And how do you know who's good, who's not good? How do you know that someone's, not going to just take your money and be like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah. One of the things I always tell our patients is don't keep this a secret. Mm-hmm. Allow other people to know so that, they have the confidence in choosing an office that fits their needs, their style, and their concerns.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And don't you feel like, too, if a patient of yours isn't really a good fit for you, you're just going to refer them out to another chiropractor anyway, really?
That's right. And I think why it's important that we do the various things that we're doing right now, trying to get out there and educate the public, is because a lot of times I find patients have been thinking about coming in for months.
Yes, I see that. Years.
Over years,
I wanted to do this for 5 years.
Yeah,
Where have you been?
I knew I needed to start taking care of myself, but I kept on waiting, and I kept on thinking that the 5 dangerous words, maybe it'll go away. All right, so they don't do anything. Or they get things that come and go. Their body's giving them smoke signals that there's an issue, but they're not listening because they're too busy. So a lot of times patients are procrastinators, and clients of yours, I'm sure you're going to find the same thing, that they procrastinate to take care of themselves. And sometimes I say to them, you know what, you got to put yourself as a priority, because if you don't take care of you, who's going to eat? No one else will,
Yeah.
It really boils down to an area of educating about self-care and taking the responsibility for that self-care. So something to, really make sure that they kind of get a grasp on that we want them there, because that's where the coaching happens, and we keep them on track. We love them so much that we keep them on track, along with giving them some really good care that's going to change their body, change the way their structure works, and enhance their health.
Yeah, and I really liked one of the things that I really enjoyed about the way that you run your office is how you emphasize on education. And I really resonated with that, because I'm probably over-educating at some points. I'm sure my clients are like, okay, time to go. And I'm pulling out the anatomy book and I'm showing them muscles. And, that's just part of, other than telling them self-care, I like to physically show as well. And, on my charts on the wall.
Yeah.
So I really resonate with that, and I enjoy that about you, that you appreciate that, because I've worked with some other healthcare practitioners that don't really emphasize on the education, and I just think it's really a downfall to the industry as a whole not to be educating your clients.
Yes. I think that's probably the most important thing that we can do if we want to have patients that understand why they're coming, and to create patients who are wanting you to be with them for a long time, so that they can have you on their healthcare team and receive the benefits. Because it's like the benefit of one adjustment or one massage really isn't gonna. It's not. It might do some great things for that person, but you know what? Overall, the benefits come when we've used these techniques over a period of time and allowed the body go through its own healing to be able to hash out some old injuries that they need to be recovered from.
Yes, the body remembers.
The body remembers.
Yeah, the tissues have issues for sure.
Yeah, and the path of least resistance is always the way it wants to go. So I feel like the more you and I are involved and the more we're making new pathways for that person, the better off they can start incorporating some other positive things in their life. Because let's face it, no one can understand the benefits of massage in one visit. No one can understand the benefits or experience the benefits of chiropractic in one visit. This is something that we as practitioners need to be able to teach people. You own your body for life, you know, to do a good service to it by learning how to take care of it. And I always say, boy, the more you can do things naturally without the influence of chemicals and drugs and medication that is out there. Yeah. And you know what, boy, I tell you, you just read some of the natural newsletters out there. They're all about how we are a chemicalized nation and that we've just got too many drugs out there that are influencing people in a host of negative ways because of side effects. And, you know, it's just not appropriate for the person.
Yeah, and I will say one thing that I see over and over in my practice is simple solutions that could have gotten resolved over preventative care, the natural way, are just being dealt with just surgery, cortisone shots, Percocets, take a pill, and all that does is put a blocker on the nerves to say, hey, by the way, we just put a pink elephant in the room, it's not happening.
That's right. And
then what happens is it starts to move through your body and finds the other places to, you know, take part in. You've been in this, you know, the wellness industry much longer, 22 years, right? Much longer than I have.
Yes, 22 years now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm like, I can't wait till I get to that day. I'm going to be throwing myself a party.
It's a good feeling because, you know, I tell you, and I'd be willing to share so much with you because after you've been doing this for as long as I have, you have the confidence to stand up, take a stand, and you have to say, you know what, this is right and this isn't. You know, you become very clear upon helping patients and yourself as well to understand what is the most important things in healthcare, because over the years there's a lot of stuff that comes and goes. But when we boil it all down and we go to the way the body was designed,
that it wants to heal itself, right?
It wants to heal itself.
I love that.
And it's from the inside out, not the outside in.
Yeah.
So a lot of these techniques where patients run to crisis, you know, they behave in a crisis care manner, meaning that they're prematurely using drugs and surgery. It just drives the problem even deeper a lot of times, I see in my office, my clinical studies, you know.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think, too, what for the frustration, I know, you know, I wasn't really going to get all negative here, but I'm really frustrated with that because I feel like that's like the first line of defense, and it really isn't. And and there's like a little flip-flop that needs to happen here.
Yeah, you know? And you know, it's really exciting when you get a patient that comes in and they've just been dealing with health issues for years and years and years, and you turn them on to something natural like this, and the light bulb goes off in their head, and they're like, how come no one ever else told me this or helped me to experience that? Well, you know, there's a lot of reasons. Maybe they were close to it. People who are closed, you can't force them to you know, open their eyes to something if they're not ready. Or perhaps they were misguided. There's a lot of misinformation out there.
Because that's where you really get to see the aha moments happen. I mean, even after one treatment, when I'm working with a client, an aha moment happens, like they walk out and they're on cloud 9. But it's when I have a client come in 6 months later and say, you know, the migraine headaches I've been having for over a year, I just realized I haven't had any in a couple of months. Or, you know, I'm not really having any of those issues and that's when you go from that crisis, okay, let's get you in order, to maintenance, which is nice. I like that. You know, and it's more enjoyable for them, which is good, and they're doing good things for their body, which is nice too.
That's right. It's being proactive. Look if you own one of these things called the body, you got to take care of it.
Yeah.
You just have to. And so learning how to put yourself in a higher priority and make appointments with yourself to do certain people grasp that, and they understand that that's the wellness revolution that we're talking about.
Wellness revolution, I love that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to get myself a bandana and have it say wellness.
There you go. We'll have all these, I don't know, warriors.
Yeah.
Wellness warriors.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the recording and being a part of my Anatomy Tuesdays, which is a lot of fun. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking more because I love just listening to you talk about health and wellness. I could sit all day.
Right back at you, Kristen.
All right, Dr. Margie, thank you so much, and I will be chatting with you.
Okay, have a great night.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.